I joked that my ex still has a hold on me. He made me regret my words. The warm evening sun cast long shadows across the patio as I adjusted the cushions on our outdoor furniture. Marcus and I had moved into this house in the suburbs just over a year ago, the crowning achievement of our 5-year relationship. At 33, I thought I finally had life figured out. "Hey babe, when are people supposed to get here?" Marcus called from the garden where he was setting up the grill for our backyard gathering. His broad shoulders flexed as he arranged the charcoal, a sight that used to make my heart flutter. Now it was just familiar. "Around 7, I replied, checking my phone. "So we've got about an hour." I thumbed through Instagram while Marcus meticulously prepped the outdoor space. That was Marcus in a nutshell. Dependable, precise, and utterly predictable. At 36, he had the stable career, the practical hobbies, and the reasonable 5-year plans that had initially drawn me to him when we met at a mutual friend's wedding. But lately, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. "Zara, could you bring out the cooler?" Marcus asked, wiping sweat from his brow. I glanced up from my phone. "In a minute," I said, absorbed in my ex-boyfriend Eli's latest post from the Amalfi Coast. My thumb hovered over the screen. Eli was lounging on a yacht, sun-kissed and carefree, the complete opposite of Marcus's calculated existence. I thought, God, Eli still looks incredible. I bet he's still as wild as ever. The doorbell rang, interrupting my thoughts. "That can't be guests already," Marcus said, checking his watch with a frown. "I'll get it," I called, tucking my phone away and heading inside. I pulled open the front door to find my best friend Desiree standing there, her arms loaded with bottles of wine. "I'm early, I know," she announced, breezing past me into the foyer. "But I figured you could use some moral support and pre-party drinks." "You're a lifesaver," I said, genuinely relieved. Desiree had been my confidant through college, past relationships, and now my increasingly restless marriage. "Let's take these to the back." On the patio, Marcus was arranging chairs with mathematical precision. He looked up and nodded at Desiree. "Hey Des, good to see you." "Marcus," she acknowledged with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She'd never fully warmed to him, something about him being too beige for me. I'd argued with her about it countless times, but lately I wondered if she'd been right all along. I uncorked a bottle while Marcus excused himself to shower before guests arrived. As soon as he disappeared inside, Desiree turned to me. "So how's domestic bliss?" she asked, eyebrow raised. I took a large gulp of wine. "It's fine. Everything's fine." "That's the least convincing fine I've ever heard," Desiree said, pouring herself a generous glass. "What's going on with you lately? You've been weird since that college reunion last month." The reunion, where I'd run into Eli for the first time in years, where we'd talked for hours, reminiscing about our wild past while Marcus networked with former classmates, where Eli had looked at me with those same intense eyes that used to make my knees weak. "Nothing's going on," I lied, swirling my wine, "just the usual mid-30s existential crisis." Desiree wasn't buying it. "Is this about seeing Eli again? Because I saw those looks you two were exchanging across the room." "Don't be ridiculous," I said too quickly. "That was years ago." Desiree hummed skeptically, taking a sip. By 7:30, our backyard was filled with friends and colleagues. Marcus worked the grill with his typical efficiency, while I floated between conversation circles, my wine glass never empty. With each refill, my filter grew thinner, and my laughter louder. I found myself in a cluster with Desiree and 2 other couples from Marcus's office, the conversation drifting toward relationship dynamics. "I can't believe you let Craig go on that fishing trip," Jen was saying to her husband. "I'd never hear the end of it if I tried to take a week away." "Oh please," her husband replied good-naturedly. "You went to Miami with the girls last spring." "Yeah, but that's different," Jen laughed. Something about their easy banter irritated me. I thought, must be nice to have that kind of freedom. Marcus would have a calendar invitation and risk assessment prepared if I mentioned a weekend away. "What about you, Zara?" someone asked. "Does Marcus give you a hard time when you want space?" The wine spoke before my brain could catch up. "Marcus? Please. He's afraid to go to the grocery store without texting me first." A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the group. I should have stopped there, but the alcohol and my restlessness pushed me forward. You know what's funny? I continued, voice slightly too loud. I ran into my ex at a reunion last month, and I realized he still has such a hold on me. Like, one smile from Eli and I'm mentally back in college, making terrible decisions and loving every minute. As the words left my mouth, I noticed the faces around me shifting, eyes darting behind me. I turned to find Marcus standing there, plates of grilled vegetables in his hands, his expression frozen in polite neutrality that didn't reach his eyes. "Food's ready," he said quietly, placing the plates on the table before walking away. Desiree winced. "Yikes, Zara." "What?" I said defensively. "It was just a joke. Marcus knows I'm kidding." But when I looked across the yard, I saw him mechanically flipping burgers, his back stiff, his movements precise but lacking the usual care. I thought, great, now he's gonna pout all night? Can he take a joke? As guests filled their plates, I grabbed another glass of wine instead of approaching Marcus. I thought, he'll get over it, he always does. But as the night wore on, the distance between us became palpable. Marcus was cordial to our guests, but his usual warmth was missing. When people began to leave around 11, he politely said goodbyes, but avoided standing next to me at the door. After the last couple departed, I found him silently collecting bottles in the yard. "That went well," I said, swaying slightly as I gathered some stray napkins. "Except for you being weird for the last half of it." Marcus paused, a garbage bag in his hands. "I'm going to clean up tomorrow. I'm tired." "Are you seriously upset about what I said?" I asked, irritation rising. "It was just a stupid joke." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I was startled by the hurt in his eyes. "Was it, though?" "Of course it was," I insisted, crossing my arms. "God, you're so sensitive sometimes." "Right," he said flatly. "My mistake for being sensitive about my wife announcing to our friends that her ex still has a hold on her." "That's not what I meant, and you know it," I argued, though a small voice in my head whispered that maybe it was exactly what I meant. "I think I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight," Marcus said, his voice eerily calm. "I need some space." I stared at him, indignant. "Seriously? You're this upset over a throwaway comment?" "It's not just the comment, Zara," he said, meeting my gaze steadily. "It's what it represents. I'm going to bed." I watched him walk inside, anger and confusion battling within me. I thought, fine, let him sulk. He'll be back to normal by morning. But when I woke up the next day, Marcus was already gone, a note on the counter saying he'd gone for a hike at Ridgeline Trail, something he normally would have invited me to join. I sent him a casual text. "Morning, want to grab brunch when you get back?" No response. By afternoon, with a mild hangover and growing unease, I called Desiree. "He's overreacting," I complained into the phone as I paced our living room. "It was one stupid comment at a party." "I don't know, Zed," Desiree said carefully. "It was pretty harsh. And it wasn't just what you said, it was how everyone could see you meant it." "Whose side are you on?" I snapped. "Yours, always," she sighed. "Which is why I'm telling you that you really hurt him, and honestly, it's not the first time you've made comments like that." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you've been checked out for months. Everyone sees it. You're always on your phone, you make these little digs at him in public, you talk about your past like it was so much more exciting." "That's not true," I protested, but even as I said it, memories of similar moments flickered through my mind. When Marcus finally returned that evening, sunburned and quiet, I'd prepared a peace offering of his favorite takeout from Oaxaca street food, the place downtown we'd had our third date. "I got dinner," I announced as he walked in, trying to sound cheerful. "Thanks, but I already ate," he said, heading toward the stairs. I followed him, frustrated. "Are we seriously not going to talk about this? It's been a whole day." He paused, shoulders sagging slightly. "What do you want to talk about, Zara? How you're still hung up on your ex, or how you find me boring and predictable?" "That's not fair," I protested. "I never said those things." "You didn't have to say them explicitly," Marcus replied, turning to face me. "They were all there in what you did say." I thought, why is he making such a big deal out of this? It was one stupid comment at a party. "Look, I'm sorry if what I said hurt your feelings," I offered, the apology sounding hollow even to my own ears. "But you're blowing this way out of proportion." Marcus just looked at me for a long moment. "I don't think I am," he said finally. I think, for the first time, I'm seeing things exactly as they are. He continued upstairs, leaving me standing in the hallway, the takeout bag growing cold in my hands. Over the next week, Marcus and I existed in a state of cold détente. He was unfailingly polite but distant, sleeping in the guest room and spending more time than usual at the gym or on solo hikes. I cycled between indignation, guilt, and confusion, as unable to understand why one careless comment had caused such a seismic shift. The following Saturday, I was sitting on our front porch swing, scrolling mindlessly through social media, when a notification popped up. Eli had messaged me. My heart raced as I opened it. "Hey stranger, been thinking about our talk at the reunion. Coffee sometime?" I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply box. I thought, this is harmless, just catching up with an old friend. "Who's that?" Marcus's voice startled me. He was standing at the edge of the porch, gym bag over his shoulder, watching my expression carefully. "No one," I said quickly, putting my phone face down. "Just Desiree." The lie hung between us. Marcus nodded slowly. "I see." Something in his voice made me defensive. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," he said, but his eyes told a different story. "I'm heading out for a while." "Again?" I asked, frustration bubbling up. "That's all you do lately, avoid being home." "And all you do lately is wish you were somewhere else with someone else," he replied, his calm facade cracking slightly. "I'm just trying to give you the space you clearly want." "That's not fair," I protested. Marcus shook his head. "What's not fair is pretending we're okay when we're clearly not. I've been doing a lot of thinking this week, Zara, about us, about what we both want." A cold feeling spread through my chest. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm wondering if this is still working for either of us," he said quietly. "I'm going to go now. We can talk more when I get back if you want." I watched him walk to his car, unable to form a response. As he drove away, I felt the first real pang of fear. This wasn't just a sulk. This was something much more serious. That evening, I called Desiree in a panic. "I think Marcus is going to leave me," I blurted out as soon as she answered. "Whoa, slow down," she said. "What happened?" I explained the conversation, the distance, the growing chasm between us. "And the thing is," I admitted, my voice small, "I don't know if I'm more scared about him leaving or about the fact that part of me has been fantasizing about what life would be like if he did." Silence stretched across the line. "Zara," Desiree finally said, "I love you, but you need to figure out what you actually want, because it sounds like you've been emotionally checked out of your marriage for a while." "That's not true," I insisted automatically. "Isn't it? You've been comparing Marcus to Eli since the reunion. You've been dismissive of him to his face and behind his back, and instead of trying to reconnect with your husband, you're entertaining messages from your ex." Her words stung because they contained too much truth. "I don't know what to do," I whispered. "Yes, you do," Desiree said firmly. "You just don't want to do the hard work." After hanging up, I sat on the porch for hours, watching the sky darken, truly examining my behavior for the first time in months. The realization was uncomfortable. I had been disrespectful, dismissive, and disengaged. But was it too late to fix things? When Marcus returned, I was still sitting outside, wrapped in a blanket against the evening chill. "Hey," I said softly as he approached. "Hey," he replied, hesitating before sitting on the opposite end of the swing. "I've been thinking," I started, "about what you said. About us." Marcus nodded but didn't speak, waiting for me to continue. "I know I've been difficult lately," I admitted. "The thing I said at the party was inappropriate and hurtful. I'm sorry." "Thank you for saying that," he said carefully. "But Zara, the party was just a symptom of something bigger. We both know that." I looked down at my hands. "I know. So where does that leave us?" he asked. I took a deep breath. "I want to try to make this work. I really do." Marcus studied my face. "Are you sure about that? Because it feels like you've had one foot out the door for months." His perception was uncomfortably accurate. "I've been restless," I admitted. "But that's on me, not you. You've been solid." "Solid sounds like a backhanded compliment," Marcus said with a sad smile. "Like I'm dependable but boring." "No, that's not what I meant," I protested, though a voice in my head whispered that maybe it was. I think I've been romanticizing the past. Eli and I were toxic. You and I built something real." "Did we?" Marcus asked quietly. Or did you settle for what felt safe after getting burned? The question hit me like a physical blow. That's not fair. Maybe not, he conceded. But I need to know the answer, because I don't want to be someone's safety net. I want to be someone's choice. I reached for his hand, relieved when he didn't pull away. You are my choice. I just forgot that for a while. He squeezed my hand once before letting go. I think we both need some time to figure out what we really want, he said. I love you, Zara, but love isn't enough if there's no respect. The next morning, I woke up determined to show Marcus I was committed to rebuilding our relationship. I planned a day at Pinecrest Overlook, where we'd had one of our first dates hiking the Ridge Trail. But when I went downstairs, I found him sitting at the dining table with a small duffel bag beside him. What's that? I asked, though I already knew. I'm going to stay with Jason for a while, he said, referring to his college roommate who lived across town. I think we need some space to get clarity. Panic flared in my chest. No, please. We can work through this together. I've been thinking about everything, and I know I've been taking you for granted. But I want to fix this. Marcus looked at me with a gentleness that was somehow worse than anger. I believe you mean that right now, he said. But I'm not sure you'll still mean it once the fear of change passes. I need time to think, and I think you do too. How much time? I asked, voice small. I don't know, he admitted. A few weeks, maybe. A few weeks? I repeated, incredulous. Marcus, this is our marriage. You can't just walk away for a few weeks because I made a stupid comment at a party. His expression hardened slightly. It wasn't just the party, Zara. It was the 100 little moments leading up to it. And it was seeing Eli's name on your phone yesterday and watching you lie about it. I flinched. I wasn't going to respond to him. But you thought about it, Marcus countered. And the fact that you lied tells me everything I need to know about where your head is at right now. He stood, picking up his bag. I'll text you once I'm settled at Jason's. I watched helplessly as he walked to the door. So that's it? You're just leaving? Marcus paused, hand on the doorknob. I'm not leaving for good, Zara. I'm giving us both space to figure out what we really want. Because right now, I'm not sure either of us knows. After he left, I collapsed onto the couch, tears finally breaking free. I thought, what have I done? The house felt cavernous without him, every room echoing with his absence. I wandered from space to space, noticing for the first time how much of our home bore his thoughtful touches. The reading nook he'd built in the corner of the living room, because he knew I loved natural light, the carefully organized garage where he kept his hiking gear, and the bicycle he'd bought me for my birthday. I pulled out my phone and stared at Eli's unanswered message. With sudden clarity, I deleted it and blocked his number. It was a small gesture, probably too little too late, but it felt necessary. Days passed in a blur. Marcus texted occasionally, brief, polite messages confirming he was okay at Jason's, asking if I needed anything from the store, inquiring about a bill that needed paying. Each message was like a knife twist, so normal, yet so detached. After a week of separation, I met Desiree for lunch at the outdoor plaza downtown. You look terrible, she said bluntly as I slid into the chair across from her. Thanks, I replied dryly. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Desiree shrugged. Just being honest, have you talked to Marcus? Just texts, I said, fidgeting with my napkin. He doesn't want to have a real conversation yet. Can you blame him? She asked. I sighed. No, I can't. I really messed up, Des. Yes, you did, she agreed. The question is why, and what are you going to do about it? I don't know why, I said, frustration bubbling up. I guess. Seeing Eli at the reunion stirred up all these memories. He was so charming, so full of stories about his adventures. And then I came home to Marcus with his careful plans and predictable routines, and I felt trapped. So you tried to blow up your marriage instead of talking about your feelings like an adult? Desiree raised an eyebrow. It wasn't conscious, I protested. I was just restless. Bullshit, Desiree said flatly. You were bored, and instead of taking responsibility for your own happiness, you blamed Marcus for not being exciting enough. Meanwhile, he's been steadily loving you and building a life with you, while you fantasize about a relationship that was exciting primarily because it was dysfunctional. Her words landed like slaps. You're supposed to be on my side, I said weakly. I am on your side, she insisted. That's why I'm telling you the truth instead of what you want to hear. Marcus is a good man who loves you, and you've been treating him like he's disposable. As we ate, Desiree's tough love continued. Have you considered that maybe the problem isn't that Marcus is boring, but that you don't know how to appreciate stability? That maybe you're so addicted to chaos that you can't recognize what a gift it is to have someone who shows up consistently? I pushed my salad around the plate. I do appreciate him. Do you, though? She challenged. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been taking him for granted for a long time. Later that evening, I stood in our backyard, staring up at the stars, and really thinking about Desiree's words. Had I been taking Marcus for granted? Had I been so caught up in nostalgia for a dysfunctional past that I couldn't see the value of what we'd built? On impulse, I texted him, "I miss you. Can we talk? Really talk?" His response came an hour later. "I'm not ready yet. Still processing, sorry." The rejection stung, but I understood it. I'd hurt him deeply and he needed time. 2 more weeks passed. I tried to use the time productively, reflecting on my behavior and what I truly wanted. I started seeing a therapist, trying to understand my self-sabotaging tendencies. I threw myself into projects around the house that I'd been putting off, attempting to prove to myself as much as to Marcus that I was committed to our shared life. Then one Saturday afternoon, while I was planting new flowers in the front yard planters, a car pulled into our driveway. But it wasn't Marcus's vehicle. It was a woman I didn't recognize. "Can I help you?" I asked, brushing dirt from my hands as she approached. "Are you Zara?" she asked. She was about my age, with a kind face and confident posture. "Yes," I replied cautiously. "I'm Naomi," she said. "I work with Marcus at the foundation." "Oh," I said, surprised. Marcus had mentioned a new project coordinator, but I hadn't paid much attention. "Is everything okay? Is Marcus all right?" "He's fine," she assured me. "Actually, that's why I'm here. I'm concerned about him." A prickle of unease ran down my spine. "I don't understand." Naomi looked uncomfortable but determined. "Look, I know this is awkward, but Marcus and I have become friends over the past few months working on the river restoration project. He's been staying with Jason, which happens to be in my building. I've seen him around, and he's not doing well." "What do you mean?" I asked, fear gripping me. "He's putting on a brave face at work, but he's lost weight, he's not sleeping. Jason told me he hears him up at all hours. He's throwing himself into work like it's the only thing keeping him afloat." She paused. "He loves you, Zara. Whatever happened between you two, he's miserable without you." I sank onto the front step, emotions overwhelming me. We had a fight. Well, more than a fight. I hurt him. Badly. Naomi nodded. "He hasn't told me details, just that you two are taking space. But I thought you should know how he's doing, and that despite whatever happened, he talks about you like you're the sun and moon." After Naomi left, I sat on the porch for a long time, her words echoing in my mind. Marcus was suffering, and it was my fault. The realization was a physical ache in my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I made a decision. I got out of bed, got dressed, and drove across town to Jason's apartment building. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, gathering courage, before finally sending a text. "I'm outside. I know it's late. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." No response came. Just as I was about to give up and drive home, the building's front door opened, and Marcus emerged, looking rumpled and tired in sweatpants and a t-shirt. I got out of the car, suddenly nervous. "I'm sorry for showing up like this," I said as he approached. "It's 2:30 in the morning, Zara," he said, running a hand through his hair. "What are you doing here?" "Naomi came to see me," I blurted out. "She told me you're not okay, and I couldn't just sit at home knowing that." Marcus sighed. "Naomi shouldn't have done that." "I'm glad she did," I insisted. "Marcus, I've been miserable without you. But more than that, I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us, about me, about why I said what I said at the party." He leaned against my car, arms crossed defensively. And I realized that I've been so caught up in what our life isn't that I stopped seeing what it is," I said, the words rushing out. "I romanticized my past with Eli because it was intense and chaotic, but the truth is, it was toxic. What we have, what we built together, it's real and solid and good." "You say that now," Marcus said quietly, But I'm terrified that in 3 months or 6 months, you'll get restless again and I'll be back to feeling like I'm not enough." His vulnerability broke my heart. "You've always been enough," I said, voice cracking. I was the one who couldn't see it. I was comparing our peaceful present to a past that I've mythologized in my head. The truth is, Eli and I were a disaster. The drama I've been missing? It was just dysfunction in disguise. Marcus didn't speak, but I could see him listening, really listening. "I started therapy," I continued, "trying to understand why I self-sabotage like this, why I can't seem to appreciate what's right in front of me. And I realized something important. I've been using boredom as an excuse to avoid intimacy. When things get too real, too close, I get scared and I create distance." "By hurting me?" Marcus asked, pain evident in his voice. "By pushing you away before you can leave me," I admitted. "It's not rational and it's not fair to you. But I'm working on it. I want to be better, for myself and for us, if there's still an us to fight for." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, looking up at the night sky. Finally, he said, "I've been doing a lot of thinking too, about what I want, what I deserve, and I realized I deserve someone who chooses me actively, not someone who stays because it's comfortable." My heart sank. "You're right, you do deserve that. The thing is," he continued, "I still believe that person could be you, if you want it to be. If you're willing to do the work." Hope flickered in my chest. "I do want that, more than anything." "It won't be easy," he warned. "We can't just go back to how things were. Too much has been said, too much damage done." "I know," I agreed. "I'm not asking for easy. I'm asking for a chance to rebuild, to prove to both of us that what we have is worth fighting for." Marcus finally looked at me directly, his gaze searching my face. "I'm not moving back home yet," he said eventually. "I need more time, but maybe we could start with dinner tomorrow? Neutral territory, just talking. It wasn't everything, but it was a start." "I'd like that," I said, relief washing through me. As I drove home in the pre-dawn darkness, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: hope. Not the frantic, desperate hope of someone afraid of losing their safety net, but the quiet, determined hope of someone who finally understands what they almost threw away. Over the following weeks, Marcus and I began the slow, careful work of rebuilding. We met for dinners, for walks along the river trail, for coffee at the bookstore downtown. We talked, really talked, about our fears, our expectations, our disappointments. I continued therapy, slowly untangling the knot of insecurities that had led me to sabotage something precious. One evening, as we sat on a blanket at Crescent Hill Park watching the sunset, Marcus turned to me with a serious expression. "I want to show you something," he said, pulling out his phone. He hesitated before continuing. 2 days after I moved to Jason's, Eli messaged me on social media. My stomach dropped. "What? Why would he? Apparently you never responded to his message." "And he got curious," Marcus explained, showing me the screen. "He asked if we were having problems, said you two had reconnected at the reunion." Shame burned through me. "Nothing happened at the reunion, I swear. We just talked." "I know," Marcus said simply. "I believed you then, and I believe you now." But what was interesting was how I felt reading his message. "How did you feel?" I asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. "I felt sorry for him," Marcus said thoughtfully. Here was this guy, still trying to stir up drama with an ex from years ago. Still living the same chaotic life while I've built something real. It made me realize that what we have isn't boring, it's precious. And I don't want to lose it either. Tears pricked my eyes. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "Maybe not," he agreed. "But you're working to earn it, and that matters to me." He took my hand carefully. "I'm not saying everything's fixed. We still have a long road ahead, but I'm willing to walk it if you are." "I am," I promised. Every step. 3 months after that night at Jason's apartment, Marcus finally moved back home. Our relationship was changed, deeper in some ways, more cautious in others. We established new patterns, new ways of communicating, new appreciation for what we'd almost lost. One evening, as we sat on our porch swing watching fireflies dance across the yard, I leaned my head on his shoulder. "Thank you," I said softly. "For what?" "For making me earn my way back," I explained. "For not making it easy. I needed to understand what I almost threw away." Marcus kissed the top of my head. "I wasn't trying to punish you. I just needed to know you were choosing me for real this time." I am, I assured him, meaning it more than I'd ever meant anything. Every day, I'm choosing us. As the stars appeared overhead, I thought about how close I'd come to destroying everything for the illusion of excitement, how I'd mistaken chaos for passion, dysfunction for intensity. The real adventure, I'd finally learned, wasn't in running from commitment. It was in the daily choice to build something lasting, something true. Eli still posts pictures from glamorous locations, still lives the life that once seemed so appealing. But now when I see them, I feel nothing but gratitude for the path not taken. For the man beside me who had the strength to make me face my worst self, and the generosity to give me a chance to be my best. I joked that my ex still had a hold on me. Marcus made me realize the only person holding me back was myself.